Hello YouTube. Have you heard about this strange phenomenon, if we can call it that, nanobees? No? Well, today I will tell you about this amazing discovery, the nature of which still causes fierce debate. And I have to tell you, Australia never ceases to amaze me. Years ago I published a large article in Russian language about Australian UFO phenomenon and the most interesting cases. Because I had good friends in Australia, some of them those who escaped, like myself, from the Soviet Union, and they told me a few things. Plus I did extensive research on my own. That was years ago. Well, my articles were smuggled into the Soviet Union, and there was so much interest, I found out later. And of course, officially, my article was republished after Gorbachev opened up the country. Well, there is so much to talk about Australia, and it does fascinate researchers. I was invited to lecture there some years ago. I couldn't go, but one day definitely I want to come to Australia and New Zealand. So, let's go to this discovery. Nanobees are strange tiny threads of unknown origin. They were discovered in 1996 in sandstone at the depth of 3 kilometers below the seabed of the coast of Western Australia. They were found growing from rock samples, both full diameter and sidewall cores, of Jurassic and Triassic sandstones, originally retrieved from unspecified number of oil exploration wells of Australia's west coast. The depths of retrieval were between 3,400 meters, I think it's 2.1 miles, and 5,100 meters, or about 3.2 miles, below the seabed. These filaments, according to a group of geologists from the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia, they may be the smallest known living organisms. Nanobees have a diameter of 20 to 150 nanometers. Nanometer is a unit of length equal to, it's like 1,000 millionths of a meter, to put it simply. Some researchers believe that these structures are crystal growth, but the staining of these structures with dyes that bind to DNA might indicate that they are living organisms. Thus, nanobees, if they are living organisms, are smaller than the smallest known bacteria, which are called mycoplasma. They are interesting because they lack cell walls. The sizes of these bacteria vary from 150 to 200 nanometers. If the assumption that nanobees are alive is eventually confirmed, this fact will force scientists to take a fresh look at some controversial statements of the past. For example, about the report of NASA scientists that made a lot of noise in that year, 1996, again, same year as this discovery, about the nanofossils allegedly found in a Martian meteorite. You see, those nanobees, they're similar to the structure found in H84001, a Mars meteorite that was found in the Antarctic. Some of these fossils are only 20 nanometers across. Again, researchers from Queensland said that they observed how strange threads grew in the laboratory under the influence of air, how they tried to avoid exposure to the electron beam during scanning electron microscopy, and that nanobees have structures similar to cell walls, and the 3 different DNA tests gave positive results. But despite the seemingly quiet scientific basis of all the studies conducted, all these statements remain very controversial to seasoned scientists, let's put it that way, because other experts believe that the presence of DNA may be the result of contamination on the surface of the rock, and they point to the obvious fact that the threads grew, or filaments, in the air during the research, while their native habitat is anaerobic. no air. Another argument of the opponents of the fact that nanobees are alive is that the necessary minimal sets of DNA chains simply cannot physically fit inside small volumes of space. However, this does not mean at all that these supposed living beings do not use some other method of reproduction and coding of hereditary information different from ours. And if in the end it turns out that they are alive, nanobees will break not only the record for the smallest size, but also the record of the hyperthermophiles, because at the depth where they are found, the temperature is more than 150 degrees Celsius. That's it, my friends. After all, what bizarre stories are found on our planet.